Good evening and welcome to Referees Corner here on IslandStats.com. I'm joined by the president of the Bermuda Football Association, Mr. Mark Wade. We'll soon be joined by the chairman of referees, Cranston Williams, and the president of the Bermuda Referees Association, Lionel Can. But first of all, Mr. Wade, we come to the end of 2020, and we have yet another or a return to the FIFA list for AR Tashun Simons. This will be 3 years in a row, if I can remember, if I can recall. Yeah, 3 years in a row. So for the association, it really looks good, the fact that we have someone on there. But I know for you, you've been pushing the mental to try and get Mr. Williams to forge ahead and get some more on there. And I know he's working very hard to do so, but trying to get people on the list from an administration standpoint, it could be difficult at times, can it?
Oh yeah, I mean it's a tough task. Where we were always under pressure to get somebody on the list and get somebody at the required standard. But once you actually sort of break the mold and break the glass, so to speak, it becomes a little bit more easier because the support that you get from Concacaf and FIFA increases as you do well in terms of referee development. So we've done well. The accolades still come in terms of what Concacaf and FIFA see us doing here through our referee committee. And they're happy that such a small country is actually one of the leaders in the region in terms of referee development and in terms of some of the innovative ideas. Sometimes you have to meet people where they are, and I think the social media presence that we have through the referee chairman is doing a big job in terms of just promoting refereeing and its rewards, being able to recruit young people, and having such a young person as the sort of poster child is doing us well also. And for me, I'm one. I'll move the goalposts on people pretty quickly. So once you achieve some success, I'm moving the goalposts. We're moving on to something else. Okay, you had a good time. You celebrate that. Fine. Now let's move on. So yes, and all the challenge is to get. I want to see a referee team. On the list, and I think what we need to do is leverage Tashun's experience and his challenges. And the lessons that he's learned over these years, one, to get on the list, and then the effort it takes to stay on the list. He now has to, at such a young age, start to take a leadership position and understand now that he's a mentor for those that have to come behind him. So that's another part of the process. So even for him, while you're on the FIFA list and performing and getting appointments, now we're move the goalpost on him and say, okay, now you got to bring somebody else along. So
yeah. One of the big problems that we have is that those who are knocking on the door have not met the age requirement.
Yeah.
But obviously, in the boardroom, you guys have plans to keep them in tune, engaged in going forward. So when they do meet that required age bracket, they can then just, well, not slide in, but have the opportunity to join Tashun. But the challenge of keeping them motivated, how from an administration side, how are you guys working that out?
Well, it's looking for opportunities for them to be stretched. We can only stretch so far in Bermuda and under confines in Bermuda. So, we have plans of having them officiate in tournaments overseas. that didn't transpire in 2020. But that is on the cards for 2021, where we can now have them in officiating in tournaments overseas. So we already had the Dallas Cup lined up. We had the Concacaf under 15 championships, which they should have been able to go to, and we're looking at other tournaments as well. In addition to that, it's and the chairman should be able to speak to it a little bit more. Is finding opportunities in other countries, in other leagues as well for developing match officials.
Right. One of the things that I've noted, because I went through the list of our region and referees and referee assistants on the FIFA list, and I noted that other than probably Barbados, Jamaica, and maybe Trinidad, the English-speaking countries in our region don't have many on the list. Is that the language barrier one of those things that we struggle with, because the fact that the Spanish speak both English and Spanish?
I'm not sure if that's the issue there. That's an interesting analysis, but I'm not too sure that that's the issue. I think it may be, and I can speak from Bermuda standpoint. It may be just a bit of complacency that set in, where we didn't have a sort of campaign to really reach out to new referees. And I mean, with going past the dark days or the referees not even training and things of that nature. But yeah, I don't think this is the language barrier. I just think there's a certain amount of complacency, certain amount of just being in a comfort zone. If you think of some of the English speaking countries, maybe they're just in this comfort zone, where they're not refereeing, just doesn't seem appealing, and they haven't made it appealing. Our chairman has managed to make it appealing to young people, and in only the way that he can. So
I want him to hurry up and join us. But we look at, I mean, he's done a tremendous job of getting and ensuring that at the youth level, the young people are able to officiate. But we still have that concern at the higher up level, that we're stretching the ones that we have. We're stretching them thin. Any ideas with him, or just conversations around the boardroom table about how we can now try to motivate older ones to join that senior rank?
Yeah, I mean that conversation continues. How can we bridge the gap, because we do have a sort of gap between our senior officials and then those that are aspiring. We have a gap that we need to fill, and we continue to work towards that. And we have to come up with some ways of reaching them, because we've obviously been able to reach young people. Now we just need to reach those middle-aged people, or even footballers who are on their way out of the game. Maybe that's an opportunity there, right?
Yeah, we've seen the resurgence of some former footballers who have come back out to assist in the game, namely the president, Lionel Can. You have Christopher, Lloyd Christopher, Garrett Swingson. These guys played the game and are now giving back in some regard to staying involved in the game. But how do we kind of influence others who are finishing off but want to stay, but can stay involved? What type of campaign can be put on for that?
Yeah, I think we have to tap into what drove them. what drove them to come back to the game and decide to want to officiate. I'll be honest, there's some special people, right? They're my age. So there's a special people, Dwight Jackson and the like. And I think we need to tap into their motivation. What was their motivation? What's in their personalities that where they wanted to come out and be a part of refereeing. And once we understand what their motivation is, then maybe we can reach out to similar and like-minded individuals.
Yeah. I mean, I remember, well, you would remember back when in your playing days, we had the same problem at the senior level as well, because we had a handful of referees and a handful of referee assistants, and some games would even have to see a club person on the line. We thankfully thus far haven't seen much of that over the last few years, but looking at how remember a campaign years ago from the association asking that each club send one person to be responsible to get the basic understanding of running a line in the event that a club person, but that didn't go over well with the clubs. Why do you think that?
Well, I can speak from my own experience because I was one of those people. And I did my one and only match was at Southampton Rangers, PAC West Southampton Rangers derby match. And Linda Rayner dressed me, and off I went, and was the AR on the line. It does take some gumption to be able to do that at your own club's match. Because before you even start, the fans already, they've already decided that you're not gonna be a fair official.
Right. Right.
And that was my experience. But I think tapping into those individuals who have their club at heart and understand how important match officials are, finding those people and finding those like-minded people at our clubs is the difficult part of it.
Yeah. Well, we're joined by the chairman of referees, Mr. Cranston Williams. Good evening, Mr. Williams. How are you?
Good evening, sir. My apologies for my tardiness.
No problem. I understand. Mr. Wade has put you on the spot because he's moving the goalposts in your absence. Moved the goalposts, so now he wants more. But we were talking about you've done a remarkable job with the youngsters, but now we need to start looking at how we fill those voids in the Premier and First Division. What ideas do you have to kind of influence people to come out and be a part of that and the officiating team?
Well, as I think Mr. Sabir and yourself, Corbin, you guys say I'm the walking, talking poster board for refereeing. What I normally do is when I see people that have been, I guess you would say, they're the best referees from the sideline, I challenge them to say, okay, why don't you come and do a course and, let's see what you can do. Even the older guys that are still playing Premier, I always go to them, national squad players, former players, and I say, look, why don't you guys come back and give this a try? And a lot of them would say they would do the youth matches, but they don't want to transition to the senior games. So the thing now is, as you say, to keep dangling that carrot in front of them to say, look, what can you do for me? Well, show it on a Sunday. You're not going to play football for the rest of your life, but here's something you can still do this and make some money. I've been working with the association because we're trying to come up with a plan in terms of financial incentives, sending people away and different things. But the biggest problem we're having is, as anything, is the abuse. I can get anybody to do up to an under 17 game, but the minute you say First and Premier, Williams is not happening. He's just not happening. all I could do is just keep asking, keep plodding. Because it's funny. I remember when President and Larry Musson sent me to the head of refereeing workshop in Miami. Now, I refereed up to do my youth games at school. So then, I said to Mr. Wade, what, you're crazy? You're sending me to work? And I remember going there and just felt completely like a fish out of water. You're dealing with people that refereed at the World Cup finals and the like. So I remember telling Brian Ho back then, I think that was 2016 or 17, one of them. 16, because, sorry, it was November 2017 because Tashawn got a list that year. So, and I said to him, I don't have any female referees in Bermuda, like, can you help? And he said to me, he says, Mr. Triangle, you managed to get somebody on your list. You bought me out of the wilderness. So I'm pretty sure if you keep working, you're going to figure it out. And like, to be honest, kind of annoyed. I'm like, this guy telling me I'm going to work it out. And now, look how many females are here. So I guess it's just a matter of just keep promoting and, highlighting the positive things that the referees are doing. And hopefully more people join and come on board.
Yeah, I have to go back to last season because you remember a match where the referee halted the game because of abuse from a spectator. In order to, we're going to have to take some sort of stance. I know probably fish out of water here, but can we see something of that nature of putting that onus back on the clubs to ensure that if people are being unruly, that the stewards kind of usher them to the gate?
Yeah, I would say we can do that. There is something in place for that already, because we have match commissions, we have compliance officers, we have security, and the referees themselves, as the president always says, they have the cards. The referees are in control of the game. So as we tell them, you have that right, and it's up to you. But because for me, what occurs that we live in a place where it's familiarity. So Cranston knows Mark and feels, well, Mark is just passionate about the game. He don't really mean what he's saying, so I'm not going to give him a card or write him up. Because when the game's over, Mark comes and says, hey, Cranston, I apologize, he's passionate of the game, and blah, blah, blah. And that's just, I guess, our mindset. So until we change that, things are not going to improve as drastic as we would like it.
Right.
That's
I remember in a conversation I had some time ago with Kenton Jennings. Remember an international match, and Mark, you remember this. Got sent off after like 10 minutes. Because in Bermuda, you're used to talking and using language when you talk to your fellow teammates, let alone the opponents. And he done that and was dismissed in 10 minutes. So I think, if we're gonna look on one side, we have to look on all sides and say, hey, if we stop it here, it won't happen there, but we need to take control of it here in our society.
Yeah, for me, I think that while two individuals might have an understanding, and a match official may decide, okay, yeah, that's Mark. I understand him. I think they have to understand the impact on everyone else. How a coach's behavior impacts the players that are on the bench, or how a coach's behavior impacts the fans, or how a player's behavior impacts the fans, who may not have the understanding with the match official. And the abuse extends beyond referees and assistant referees. We're seeing abuse, with match commissioners and our COVID officers, and even club officials. And I think, once people understand that it goes beyond the personal relationship between the two people, and it actually impacts the temperature around football in general, then they understand that something has to be done, and they have to follow through on, people who are being abusive.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that's becoming very notable to general public people that will take in a game, and one of the first things you hear is just that, the foul and abusive language, not only from the field but from the spectators, which I think if we can do a little with the spectators, but we need to control those guys that we can control, the ones on the field first. And that will send a message to the people in the stands that you can't behave in the manner in which you're behaving. And the same thing applies for any player who might be attending the game.
No, but I mean, it's also a reflection in society as well.
Yes,
where foul languagism has become acceptable in a lot of circles.
Mm-hmm.
In the general deportment of people has become has taken a negative turn, and you see it increase in times like these where we're all under pressure, so to speak. Stuck in our houses, stuck in Bermuda. You see the temperature rise, and I think people will use different avenues to kind of vent their frustrations. But people have to understand that the behavior is not going to be tolerated, and I think as Cranston said, it starts with the people on the front line, and they have to be the ones to say that we're not going to be subjected to this type of behavior, and they have to be the ones to put it in their reports. They have to be the ones to follow up. And the message from my perspective is clear: is that we're here to support the match officials and support those who are involved in match management. So if a report comes, I'm going to make sure it's dealt with. From the president's desk, I'm going to make sure it's dealt with. So.
Mr. Williams, I noted last season I went to an under-17 game at Stadium Lane and managed to capture a referee assistant doing a tremendous job. But I know due to COVID this time around, I might have missed it. But has Mr. Wade been given a flag to run down the line and assist in that age group this season?
No, he hasn't. He has conveniently avoided, being around when those things occur. We've tried our best to recruit him, but his standing firm. He's like, nope, he's really not doing it.
Mr. Bearson, as we spoke before Mr. Williams joined this particular show, I have my moment. And people like Lloyd Christopher and Dwight Jackson are special. And I glory in their spirit, and I will applaud them as if they were the star player on the team.
But I kind of thought you done a tremendous game that day, sir.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the plaudits. However, I have officially taken up the pen and the keyboard.
Yeah, he's not interested, Mr. Bezos. He tried numerous times.
Well, you know what? I honestly feel, Mr. Williams, that everyone within the executive, now I'm throwing out a challenge.
Oh my goodness.
I'll probably get told off in a chat somewhere later. But everyone of the executive should at least one game a year take up the mantle of being an official. One game. It could be a youth game. It could be if you're gonna lead, let's show the leadership, and that includes you. You have to do a middle, Mr. Williams, because you're in charge.
That's a simple thing. I can assure you, as I have told several Premiership players, I had made a crystal clear to them. The day that I ever officiate a Premiership match, I can assure you it will be something called law and order. I will be Joe Clark with my baseball bat, i.e. my cards on the middle. It will be law and order. Rest assured on that one.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna lead from the front, let's have it. I mean, that I'm pretty sure with this stoppage, there's going to be a lot of football played once we resume under whatever circumstances we resume under. Some of those officials are going to need a break. So I could see you in the middle, Mr. Wade on one line, and Mr. Burgess on the other.
That's been talked for quite a while. Trust and believe me. That scenario has been spoken about several times. Trust me.
Now, halftime would have to be about 25 minutes.
No, I think we could do the 45. What's straight?
No, halftime, the halftime break.
No, we don't have a halftime break. We'll be fine. I'm pretty sure.
We're gonna have to bring in Dickie to rub everybody done to go for the second half.
As long as you give us ample notice, we'll be fine.
Okay, all right. But as I said to Mr. Wade earlier, I went through the list and I noted that many English-speaking Caribbean countries don't have many people on the list. Did you find that when you went initially to that Congress with Mr. Hall?
Yes. You also find that some countries just had people on the list, but they never got any matches either. So that was something that they talked about. And, being neutral, I didn't know exactly what it meant, what it entailed, and how it would benefit Bermuda. But primarily having someone on the list, because I think when Tashawn got on the list, we hadn't had someone for 14 years. And in that time, even our instructors, they weren't getting invited to tutorial courses. So we were just here. And, it's just funny how when you go somewhere and you learn, you start digging. One of the reasons why nobody got on the list, because prior to Tashawn, we had nominated people, but they weren't even looked at. Reason being, we weren't having a rock course here on the island, so there's no data to say who Antoine Augustus was at the time. So from there, then I realized, okay, this means that we have to keep these guys in the forefront of what's going on. So one of the things we started, and I didn't realize impacted head was you might see I post a lot of things on Facebook. And that was the one thing Mr. Hall said to me when I went to the meeting of all the heads of refereeing. He said he knows we're working hard. He says, how does he know? He sees it on social media. And I was shocked to know that the head of Concacaf refereeing could tell me what days they trained, what they were doing. So from there, it just kept going and going. And then once we had the courses, I also realized that you had to bring in the instructors on a separate occasion to put them through their paces and then take that data. Say if Tashawn's officiating a game on the line, I had Rohan or Victor come in and they would do an assessment on it separate from whenever you went away. So that also helped, the process.
And obviously, we were talking earlier as well, the fact that you have some people knocking on that door, but age is the stumbling block right now. But how are you keeping those guys motivated to say once you get to that required age, you can actually knock on that door to get in?
Well, the only person right now I would say that it's Amari Majors. The only reason Amari didn't go to under 15s last year because of his age. The instructors have come and they have said it numerous times. Amari Majors is going to be your first World Cup official. They didn't say FIFA listed. They said World Cup. So we continuously motivate Amari. And I know there's youth tournaments coming up like May next year. Under 15 should be happening in August. So, we also started the academy. So that's another thing where they do separate training from the regular referees. So with that, we just keep encouraging. And also now we have overseas instructors conducting Zoom sessions with them. So prayerfully, everything with this COVID allows us or them to, attend these tournaments. And because right now, some of them, the corner, I would say not being challenged in terms of the local football because they've, like Amari, if you see Amari run down the line, no matter who the fastest Premier Division football is, he could be 2 steps out of Amari. Amari takes 2 glides and he's caught up with him on the line. So we know he has to be challenged out of his comfort zone. You also have Stephen, who's returned. He went under 15s last year. Clinton Haywood. We have Mateo Donovan and also Natasha Trott. Natasha's an athlete in herself. She was on a 4-year scholarship, track scholarship, bodybuilder. So she came out of nowhere and she was just like, listen, I am going to be your first female FIFA official. And she just exudes that confidence. So if her is not much to motivate Natasha, she knows where the goalpost is and she wants to do. If I could find her, we'll be fine.
Mr. Wade keeps moving that goalpost.
I know.
So you wait for that and then you move it?
No, because I can assure you, we already had a conversation. We got 2 more people on the list. That's his 3 ARs. So I can ride off into the sunset. My job's complete.
No. He's had a team, not 3 ARs. He's had a team.
Well, the issue is going to be the referees because unfortunately, because of the level of football here on the island, they've told us getting people on the list to be a referee is going to be rather difficult. I know Tashawn wants to do it, so the plan for 2021 is get some persons on the list as ARs. He could take a break and come off, and then try and go back on as a referee. But I do know they made it clear that going on as a referee is very difficult because of the level of football. And if you look at it, most of the Concacaf referees, not many of them do World Cup, like got chosen to go to the World Cup, the Caribbean guys anyway. They all do like the qualifiers and the like, but I know we had two young ladies that are ARs from Jamaica, Stephanie Yeasing and Princess Brown. They did the World Cup final, I think the under 17 World Cup.
Right.
They were actually on the line as ARs. So that's what I'm trying to encourage, the people here to say, listen, these young ladies from Jamaica, they did it. You're not gonna, and we have way more support than the referees in the Caribbean. So there's no reason why we can't get to that level.
Yeah. Mr. Wade, from the administration standpoint, obviously, Bermuda is the talk of Concacaf, both playing and officiating, held in high regard. What have you seen over the last few years as far as development from an administration standpoint to help Bermuda to progress both playing and officiating?
Well, there's a few things. I think first of all, having the resources, and financial resources, is huge, right? We went from 3 million a year down to 300,000 before FIFA then sort of kicked in with FIFA Forward, and that's one step in it. The other is, for me, having a capable executive team where we can give persons a portfolio and a budget, and they get on with it. I think having that as a team is also important. Behind every footballing success, whether it be players, referees, international teams, there is an administrative framework and machinery that works behind the scenes to make sure that those persons can concentrate on playing football or concentrate on just refereeing. And I think that's a large part of it, and the executive team, and then the committees that they run. So that's part of it as well. Being able to have people develop and be part of seminars and develop their management skills is important. So FIFA and Concacaf conduct seminars that people can avail themselves to. So even the women's leadership program, which Sharice Bean and Peter Parsons have been a part of, is very valuable. It's things that, those are the things that people don't see. They just see the machinery working, and they're happy with the product that is being produced, but they don't see the work that happens behind the scenes. So administratively, that's so very important. Having the money is one thing, but if you don't have the management skills to use it to implement programs and come up with programs that are going to have a positive impact on the field of play, it won't happen. So that's a huge part of it. And I'm blessed with a team of executives and committees that are working. A lot of times you have organizations that will have committees that maybe enjoy too much of the social side of it, and not actually producing anything. But that's important. And then the final piece that again, behind the scenes, which most people don't even maybe probably don't put too much credence on, is the strategic plan that have been put in place. We are at the 5th strategic plan of the Bermuda Football Association. where each plan has had some successes, and each plan has built on the successes of the plan before it. And each time we have, advanced using those plans. And if we implement, strategic initiatives that have some long-term benefit, then, the results will come. So, yeah, that's some of the stuff that, people won't see. Maybe the corporate community will understand. Maybe the average fan at a game won't. But I think, those elements have been a huge part in the success of the Bermuda Football Association.
Yeah. From an administration, Cranston, when we have Olympic qualifiers, does Concacaf assign the officials, or can you guys go to the Bermuda Olympic Association and say, well, we have someone on the FIFA list that would allow us to have somebody represent the country in like an Olympic qualifier?
No, CONCACAF would they're the ones that send out those assignments. We don't have anything to do with that. Because last year Tashawn did Olympic qualifiers in Kenya. So yeah. I would just get the email to say that he'd been appointed.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, gentlemen, I do want to thank you very much for your time. I want to wish you all the best over this festive season. I know I'm early, but happy birthday, Mr. President. Just a few days early.
That's all right.
But hopefully you guys will be releasing some information soon about the resumption of the 2020-2021 season. I know you're still waiting on those talks with government, but I know one thing's for sure: the referees will be ready. If not, Cranston will be cracking that whip. The whip that you give it.
Cracking it already.
Yeah. Yep, that training, don't worry, that training already.
All right, well, gentlemen, do enjoy your evening and Merry Christmas.
Yes, Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Merry Christmas to you too. All right, have a good one.
Okay, gents.